Hi guys, so in this video I'm going to show you how I built this. So I was changing the values from my tablet and you would see the values also in the dashboard basically in real time. So I got my tablet here. I'll change some values in a web page like this. And also I got my Alexa. So in short, the answer is SSE. This is something that is also used in Qlik geo operations. Same thing here in this video from Mike Turallo. Super interesting. And I had a chat with Tomas Janco, who is an expert in this topic, the CTO of Inphinity. So have a look here. It's super interesting, and I bet you'll learn something new.
Thanks a lot, Thomas, for your time. It's great to have you here. So guys, for you that don't know Thomas, Thomas is the CTO of Inphinity. I work for Inphinity, and he's the one that knows everything about the technology. So it's great to have him here. How are you, Thomas? How's it going?
Hey, I'm fine, thank you. Thank you for having me, Guillermo.
My pleasure. And thanks Inphinity for setting up everything here with the environment. Of course, we both work for Inphinity, so we are using our Qlik environment. Well, basically, I published a video about this chart here, and it's hard to understand how it works because even after many years using Qlik, SSE was something new to me. Because normally, if you look at this chart, it's hard to believe that the data model is actually just this table. I only have dimensions and a list of dimensions like A, B, C, D, E, and one number, but still I can display a lot of KPIs, charts, and change these values directly from the database, right? So Thomas developed here, not only him, we have like an entire team focused on developing the Inphinity extension, and SSE is one of our main features. Basically, we can change anything here in the tables. So just to summarize, we have a write back extension, and if we change something here, we have the option to reload the data entirely, like in the Qlik data model, or just see the changes in real time. Like I'm gonna change something here in Q3 Finland, and the moment I click save, I'm not doing a reload, but I can see the results here in real time. So this bar here just moved. I'm now gonna change here Germany. I'll click save, and the bar is gonna change here again. And this is not only in my user, it's not a variable, it's nothing like that. It's actually the data, but it's not coming from the Qlik data model. It's actually coming directly from the database. Thomas, can you tell me a little bit more how this connection works?
Yeah, of course. Normally, all the data that you see in visualizations on the sheet are coming from the data model, but Qlik has some special functions that allow the Qlik engine to communicate with external services. These external services are called server-side extensions, or SSEs for short, and you can connect to them by creating an analytic connection. So in the analytic connection, you specify how to connect to that remote service, and then the Qlik engine will get new functions in the expression language. And that function is not processed in the engine. It is all the inputs to that functions are sent to the server-side extension. The server-side extension will process it and return a result. And the result can be used in any visualization or in the load script to make part of your data model. But here it's used only in the visualizations. That's why the data model is, or in the other application, the data model was nearly empty. And that's why it's refreshing in real time, because always the fresh result is pulled from the service.
Right. I'm going to show you the example that I shared in the video. So basically, I have an URL here, a website that is hosting and just sending the post request to our database. And every time I click here, so I'm just going to put one for all these values here, A, B, C, D, E, right? And you'll see here that I have these dimensions. When I click on the top here to like move this arrow up, I'm sending a post request to our database, creating a new value for B. And with that, the expression is retrieving exactly that value. So you'll see here that's nothing, it's nothing special, like it's just pure Qlik, but it's retrieving the data from our servers, right? From our endpoints. So every time I change something here, I can query the results from our database. Is that right, Thomas? I need to have a connection established in the backend, right?
Yes, the connection is created in cloud. The connection is created using the data load editor, and then you will have this new function you can call in your expressions to retrieve the data. The parameters are the key and the column of what you are getting, and then the result is the actual value.
That's really interesting. And it works the same way for on-premise and cloud, right? Was there any challenge to convert the on-premise version to cloud when developing the SSE functions and things like that?
Yeah, on-prem the things are a little bit easier because you have a direct connection with the Qlik engine, and the connections are simpler, and you can create new functions directly in the Qlik engine. But in cloud, you can create a connection, but there is some translation layer that drops the request into a REST call. So we needed to create a new type of endpoints for this purpose, just for Qlik Cloud. But it works internally, it works the same. There is just one more extra step in the technical things, how to get the data from the Qlik engine into our service and back.
And this is the same feature or functionality that powers geo-operation, isn't it? Like I can have the geo-operations in the script and just put the data in the Qlik data model, but I also have the option to have the expression just like I have here. Like I have a map with a travel area, and this travel area is actually an expression that it has here a variable input. In this case, the value is 1.5 hours, and it's hours because this is the other parameter, and the other here is truck. And when I change this variable, I'm not putting anything in the data model. and not reloading anything. I'm just changing the variable, send a request, and receive it again with the areas, right? It's the same idea, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. GeoOperations is just another SSE service that is providing these geographical functions. So the data you are putting to the GeoOperations service is the query and some lists of coordinates or something, and you are getting the areas of the map as a result. That's the same idea, just different type of data and just different type of query. But technically it works the same.
And how was the process inside Inphinity? Because I know that we have SSE for some time already. How was the idea, or when it happened? Like, let's use SSE, because this was something that was developed in theory for Python and R integration, isn't it?
Yes, it was like 4 years ago in version 8.0 when we introduced this in forms. We have seen that Qlik is adding something like this, and the main function was to integrate with another calculation engines like Python models or R model for statistical computing and so on. But we thought, well, you can send some data through this service, and you can receive some data, and the data is calculated every time you make the request, so it can be done in real time. So we thought, okay, that's really interesting. Maybe we can use it for just the simple data points from the form cells, from the columns and rows we have in our forms table. So we tried to make a simple endpoint just to communicate with the Qlik engine and return some data, and we found it's viable. There are some performance issues we had to overcome because it is not supposed to be used like that. It's like more for processing some batches of data, not individual data points, but it works nonetheless. So we included it, and then a few versions back, we expanded the number of functions that are available also for aggregations, because normally aggregations are calculated by the Qlik engine, but that means all the data to be aggregated needs to be sent using the SSE from the service back to the engine, and the engine will do the calculations. And this is inefficient. So if we know what data needs to be aggregated, we can do it on our backend. So we introduce the aggregation functions as well, like forms.sum, forms.average, and so on. That processes everything, on our backend, so it's faster.
So this function here, it kinds of summarizes a bigger expression.
Yes, because on the input, it gets all the values for country. So you have the list of countries, and for each country, it will aggregate the data from the target dollars column you have specified here. So the result is just one single value for all the countries, not every individual value you have in your form. So the data that needs to be transferred is much smaller, and it's faster.
I see. Interesting. And I don't know, does it have anything to do with the fact that we can collaborate here? Like, for those who don't know, if I open another screen here, another user, I will see how many users we have, and these people, all these users, they can collaborate at the same time. So if someone is working here, like, and put 60,000, and this is going to lock the rows here, and then the moment this person clicks save, it will update the values not only for that one, but for everyone. Is it connected with this kind of SSE functions or not?
Yes, the collaboration is necessary for the SSE to work in real time, because the SSEs are working in pool fashion. It means the Qlik engine is asking for the fresh data. So we need a way to notify the Qlik engine to refresh the data. And this is achieved by using the collaboration function of our extensions. If any user updates anything in the table, the information is propagated to all other users using the collaboration. And then every user can re-evaluate the expressions to get the fresh results in all the objects. We achieve that by changing a hidden variable in the on the sheet. That triggers the recalculation, because how Qlik works, it will not re-evaluate an expression unless any input to that expression changes. So we force that change by changing the value of the variable. Then Qlik engine will know that something changed and can pull the fresh data from the external service, that is our form service in this case.
I see. And this variable is shared with all users, because I remember from a video from Mike Turallo that he was using AI, and with a prompt he was asking something, and the expression in a text box was also querying this data, but it was only in his user. So if he selected something, like he was in the example, he selected a product, and the answer would be generated by AI about that product. This variable here that we have, is it shared with all the users at the same time?
No, each user has it's a session variable. It means for every user there can be a different value that is specific to their session, but the value will be updated for all users thanks to the extension. For every user, the extension will update the user's own session variable to update all the expressions.
I see. It's an important point here. In my example, in this here, I was able to change the values. So every time I click on something here, it will update the values. But this happens automatically because I have here hidden our forms extension, and this is changing the variable, right? Otherwise, yeah, I could do that, but I would have to change something in the dashboard, right? Maybe like a dimension or something that would just, I need to do some action in the sheet to requery the data, kind of, isn't it?
Yeah, that's true. You need to change selections or change some variables, but the extension is doing that behind the scenes automatically. So you don't need to worry about it. I really like your example because it's not using SSE just in Qlik. You are using some external dashboard or web page to update the data. And thanks to forms, the data is propagated into Qlik. So that's a really neat example of integrating two systems with forms as a glue in between them.
True. And basically here, just to show to our audience, this web page is basically an HTML code. There's nothing special. And every time I click on these buttons, it will change a variable in a JSON variable, and it will post a request to our forms backend, which is basically where we host our Inphinity data. So I have there Inphinity Forms instance ID where we save the data. I'm posting every time I click on some button. And the bad part here in this example, I'm not a programmer, so I was exposing the token, the authentication token. But still, it's a nice example to just play with. And in a real scenario, of course, we do all of this inside Qlik in a secure environment with all that Qlik has to offer here in terms of keys. We use the keys from the data model. So, well, there's a lot to cover. It will be a long video if we try to explain everything. But this is just like, it could be achieved due to our API, right?
Yes, the API is documented in our documentation. It's really easy to use, so you just need the token and you can call retrieve data or save new data, and the data will be propagated to all the Qlik applications and to all the users if they are using the form, the same form.
Right. Yeah, here it is in our documentation. There's the post method, and even we have a connector, a block in the automation part, right? So we can also just write there and trigger the automation and post the requests, changing the values in the database too.
Yeah, exactly. And the block is using the same API. It's just a nice visual way how to connect to our service. So it's easier to start maybe because you just drag and drop the blocks around and connect it to the data in the Qlik application automation. But also you can call it directly from your own code. So it's really versatile.
Mm-hmm. Oh, this actually brings me to another question. So here, when I use forms in the cloud, I saw that we have the button here with the SSE wizard to set up the connection automatically, right?
Yes.
So if I click here, I have already done this with this one, but if I click here, it will just ask me for the API token of this database or this form actually, and it will automatically create everything, right? Was it hard to develop this kind of solution?
Yeah, normally this is created in the data load editor, but there are many attributes you need to fill in correctly, so that works. And we wanted to automate this. And fortunately, Qlik is providing an API for creating the data connections. So we are using that API and we are feeding it the parameter it needs. Just these four are changing that are specified by the user, but the other parameters are always the same. So the user don't need to fill them in correctly. And this simple wizard automates that creation of the connection with the correct name and with the correct options for the data to be transferred to our service and back.
That's really cool. I love playing with this because like I was using the website, but I can also use forms. As you can see here, if I change D to 0 again and click save, it will send the value to forms, and here the expression will be requeried kind of, or refreshed, and I can just play with it using the web page that I built or just using forms, and everything will move live for all the users. All right, so super cool. Thanks a lot for your time, Thomas, and I think that's it.
Yeah, thank you for the demo.
Thank you. See you.